So how they've managed to get us to believe this whole claim that there's no First Amendment or Bill of Rights on Google or YouTube or any other platform when there is, because it's actually attached to the person at each end and their right to communicate to each other through whatever means legally. Basically, the vibration of your voice goes through walls. It goes through, it's on that level the law applies. And also, as for publishing, you usually pay for publishing in the newspaper anyway, so there's a money barrier. You pay for adverts, you pay for the ink, but what you send in that is your business by the law of the country, right? Same with the telephone. It is that principle and basis. That is it. When it is, YouTube would have to not allow any politics, because when you have that subject, it's that subject which the person itself is talking to another person, which is protected, right? YouTube would have to say that it doesn't allow politics on there. You can't separate the law from the political material, from the political subject, and they've got politics on there. The basis of it is, I know what the basis of it is. They were trying to stop people having debates in private houses, and then they also secured the debate in Parliament. But the debate in the private houses, and when you're collecting your signatures, is how you get it into Parliament. It's like a police case. The investigation and the questioning is part of the case that you're bringing to the court. That's how it works. Now, if you are in a private house, right, someone's own house, right, if they are inviting people around for a debate, right, you don't invite someone around for a debate and then when they say something that you don't agree with, ask them to leave, because then it's not a debate. You're asking them for their opinion on something, right? That's why it's protected. It just, the whole basis of it won't work. Now, on YouTube, when they're trying to say, well, it's our policy, we don't allow this, we don't allow that, but they allow politics on there. They allow campaign videos and election videos. They allow petitions, and they allow political debate. You'd have to say there's no political debate on there at all, which they can't do that. We know they can't do that. They've got as much genuine chance or legal authority to not allow politics at all than to not allow the rights that apply to politics. It is its shadow. It comes with it. It is fused to it. It is fused to it like a soul, right, in the law, because it's that subject, and they've got that subject on there. And that, when you're discussing that subject, those laws apply. That policy they've got says it will comply with the laws, federal, state, and foreign laws and statute. They cannot separate it. There's no argument against this. And no barrister, no CPS, no Attorney General, not even Biden. It's made so you cannot separate it. Because it's the subject, the right of the subjects. The right of the subject when you're talking about the subject. Not whose platforming, whose house you're on or what. Right? Now, because YouTube allow politics on there, that politics is covered by that law. They can't say we allow politics on here, but you can't speak about this or that in politics or say that. That's our policy. Their policy is not legally allowed to encroach. So they'd have to not allow any politics on there. But because they've got politics on there, it's the same basis as if you had a house and you say, right, I'm inviting you around for a debate, right? And then as soon as someone had a opposing opinion, you can't ask everyone in for a debate and then say, right, everyone raise their hand and say aye and agree with me, and the person who puts their hand up in opposition, then throw them out. Because you've asked them in for the opinion. Now, the politics is to discuss it, and it can only work if you have that right in place. Now, how they've got us to even believe that the Hill are the worst, because they're actually helping Mohan and YouTube, every time the Hill presenter, you know, every time he says it, you know, Brianna and, you know, the other guy, is it Robin or whatever he's called, you know, every time they say, oh, you know, well, there's no First Amendment rights on YouTube. No, he's actually just lied. That actually is a false statement because there are those rights on there. And all he's doing is reinforcing the belief of, you know, whatever 100,000 viewers they've got to believe that. I mean, you can't carry on saying that. How they've got us to believe this and spread it round is basically because of what this, you know, this opposition have been saying who don't actually believe in it. How they've managed to get it in is that they've given everyone these like admin buttons on their profiles to enjoy this power, right? And then everyone's just been like pressing them as they fancy, blocking, banning and so forth. And then when you go into the groups on Facebook, it's really killed it because you have got rights and these admins haven't been educated in the rights. They don't really properly know the rights. And some of the admins, they like the power and their opinion is that they don't even want you to say this or that, or you shouldn't be saying this or that, in their opinion. Oh, it's a private platform and it's my group, a private group, right? They think they own the people in the group. Anyone can block each other anyway, but what they're wanting to do is stop people from talking to each other within groups, which is really what the government want to do politically, which is what they want to do with Andrew Bridgen in Parliament and why they've been you know, booing him, but the speaker didn't do anything to them, you know, why they've been bullying Bridgen, picking on him. So Bridgen's in a very similar position. If they could get away with, like, you know, if they could have got away with, like, expelling Bridgen as an MP, they would have done. But they can only pull the facade, the trick so far. When you know, but they pulled it too far anyway. So they've got us. They kind of, you know, like this ring of power, like the ring wraiths in Lord of the Rings, you know, when the ring wraiths get the power rings, but then they turn into the wraiths, you know, but the dwarves are a little bit less likely to succumb to the power, and then, you know, the elves are even less likely to succumb to the power. You know, they had 3 rings and then 5 rings, and then like the 12 or whatever rings they've got for the humans were more susceptible. That's effectively what's happened, and that's the first time I've used that specific analogy. I've used Lord of the Rings analogies before, but it's actually antisocial. I've just made a video, but I didn't actually quite go onto the topic that I want. The memory card filled up. So, look, the basis that if you strip down what the fundamental basis of antisocial is, it is not being social, not wanting to socialise. It's removal from socialising. It's either refusal to participate in socialising, right, or being shunned from it. That's antisocial. Social actually is the word for engaging with other people. It's not how you engage, that's behaviour, that's manners, that's different. And this is another one of these trick terms they've coined. You know, like woke is, you know, definitely not enlightened. It's, you know, extra strict and prohibitive, you know, authoritarian woke, right? And you know, this election misinformation, they're warping words and changing words. So what the word does is it steals the power from the area of concern which you're talking about, and a new title depowers it by making it sound like contrary to what it was originally meant to do. So therefore it defuses it. It defuses it and deactivates it. Verbs did a video on, you know, words, like, you know, how words have got power recently. So, you know, and they also do that in some of the acts of law that I've found, because you can't find the act you're looking for, like the Local Petitions and Referendums Act. When you look at it, it is the framework for petitioning the local council for a referendum, but the subject that you're petitioning for in it is the framework of the council. But you've got the right of the subjects to petition the king about what you want. So you can make up your own subject. That's the point in what a referendum and petition is for your own subject. But they're only saying they're making it out as if there's only one subject that you can have. Like, or if it was only cricket and nothing else. You can't have that. You can have any subject. So when you're petitioning about the framework of the council, but what is the act? It's the framework for how to obtain a referendum by petition and amalgamating it and making sure you've got all the signatures and the information there. So surely you use that, right? That's the trick. That's another con, right? Now, another act they've got is like the Elections Petitions 1960 Act, which makes it sound like it's for elections and petitions, but it's not. It's for checking the authenticity of elections and petitions if you think that elections were run fraudulently, like this whole Trump thing. Trump actually could claim that it's been run fraudulently, but there's a special legal procedure, which I'm sure the Americans have got a similar procedure. It's special proceedings. It's not a normal civil case or a normal criminal case procedurals. It's its own. It's not like the civil procedurals or the criminal procedurals. It's its own procedurals, which is what we're meant to have for if you're petitioning either Houses of Parliament or the King and you get prosecuted. That's what the Tumultuous Petitioning Act has got in it, special legal proceedings, which they actually made illegal. So you couldn't be prosecuted at all. It says all prosecutions are illegal. So you don't go from having special proceedings for it and then saying all prosecutions are illegal, then going back to normal courts, Now, I don't know about their committees or if you want to have the House of Lords or whatever, but it certainly suggests that illegal prosecutions by the King's Bench and the assizes from as decidable in Parliament, if you're bringing them out to Parliament, the thing is, all the actions, look, right, it's facts and circumstances that are concerned with a case. That's the thing. What are the facts and circumstances? And this is what, Max Hill and the CPS and this new King guy they've got popping up in the newspaper, this is what he won't accept and what he doesn't get, right? When it says, when you bring a case and or everything to do with those facts and circumstances, they're related to that case. They are all of the misdemeanours and other things that are done for purposes of and in connection with that case are that case. That's why it's meant to be dealt with a committee, really, or in the Parliament, actually not in the courts. And that is all, that's a doctrine all the way through the law. That's why you've got jeopardy of law, so you can't be prosecuted twice for facts and circumstances of a case, like if you're robbing a bank, even if you rob the bank twice, they're trying to find the bank robbers, it's a series of robberies, when that Chris Carr's wanting to tie them together for racketeering at Stop Cop City. But racketeering is for business fraud, it isn't for political arena, it's different genre, and it's not civil or criminal proceedings anyway. But anyway, so I was talking about like the ring wraiths and like the buttons and so forth. So with the free speech, going back to Google and Facebook now and YouTube, so the government, and I think, this whole World Economic Forum movement, Nick Clegg, Starmer, this side, this mono party, dual party, this Tory, Labour, the Crown, basically, the cabinet, the Starmer part of the framework, that entity, which Biden's part of as well, that wants to try and have themselves as like a life. They want to make it life school, like life coach. They like how they've got everyone obeying them at work while they're under employment, and they really want to bring that home into your house. That is effectively it. But not just that, also affect and control your buying decisions commercially and your social decisions, which is, you don't want to be like, you don't want Jeff Bezos, if he's your boss at work, you don't want to come home to him, but him be your boss at home, but you don't have any parents at home, like when you come home from work and you open the door, Jeff's there, but he's not like, now Jeff's my dad, but no, he's not your dad. like, he's not related to me. He's my boss, but he's at home, and you just carry on as you're at work when you're in the house, don't say this, don't say that. That's what they're playing for. And I think this is what Robert F. Kennedy says, they've got all the tech. I knew they'd only started letting us know they'd implemented, I think they'd implemented it for a long, long, long time. And they've been listening in and spying and surveying and sneaking in the background. But what they've done through ads is this is right, now we're going to reveal. It's the big reveal, right? Like, the Wizard of Oz. The big reveal, the man behind the curtain. But what they've revealed is the tech behind the curtain. The tech. And what the tech is now, as soon as I take a photo, Google are already scanning it, reflecting back material, which means the government have got access to it. Right, and you can't deactivate it, and they've not done it in a nice way. You go to Google, Lens, you deactivate it, and then you'd think the Lens is deactivated on all the other apps. No, it's not, right? And the generic app you get with the phone to view files, you can't even view photos without it, right? It's built into that, and it's scanning and giving data to Google and the government all the time now. And if you deactivate it, it's made so your image editor deactivates. So if you go, I don't know, if you go to your friend's house and take some photographs and, whatever they've got on them, if there's something you don't want anyone to see, what if you, like later on in the evening, you want to edit that photo? Oh, I better edit this, right? You can't edit it. You've got to reactivate that app that Google Lens is on that scans it, and as soon as you activate it, that's it. And I've been even recording some videos like this, talking, and it seems scanning words in videos. It's actually what the tech they've got to get the subtitles on YouTube. They're taking the mick with us. They're giving us some really low grade, basic audio scanning tech for your YouTube videos. Like, I was watching a Vobes video the other day, he had an Italian guy on there, and the tech wasn't quite getting his voice right, wasn't quite getting his voice properly, because he's got a very strong Italian accent. It couldn't understand his English when he spoke English. But the level and grade of tech they're using to scan your videos before you upload them, as soon as you record it on your hard drive, is next generation. They're employing that. They're using it for ads, for Google Ads, and whatever you've just spoken and said in the video, no matter who you haven't showed it to anyone, it's just doing it. And I think even when you used to send images through Messenger now, Zuckerberg's got it changed to WebP. Like, it doesn't download like the PNG or the JPEG now. It's a WebP file, which I hate those, because Photoshop will open them. It's just like an annoying file. You got to change, you just mess around with it. It's started happening soon. He's made a point of it, WebP. It's called WebP, It's just, the whole way they've done it is against everything they claim they were protecting us against: malware, spyware, and Trojans, that they were bad things. And what they've done is they've created Trojans, which is basically something hidden or disguised, and you cannot easily deactivate it, or you're manipulated or coerced into having to use it. Spyware, and malware, because, all these Google Play apps and things where ads pop up and it's not a friendly user experience, and you've got to pay, forcing you to watch ads, keyboards, malware on keyboard when you type in, the First Amendment. It's like making a joke out of the First Amendment. And I've actually seen my keyboard malfunctioning live, not just like when you press it and you don't notice. It's actually like doing glitches as well. Sometimes it makes it visible, but I know that it's doing it when it doesn't look like it's glitching. I know that I pressed a button, it's bang on, and it did another one. And it usually V, versus, like you're arm wrestling with them, like versus V, It's almost as if they've made it, like, done a really clever, like all this coding, like in the army, you can break code breakers. All that intelligence, they've done it into random things that people type in, and they know certain patterns for typing, and they've done it so it's a little game. And what they're doing, these Mandark Dexter's is arm wrestling with you, and it's actually putting wrestling with you, and it's like it puts V in when you never pressed V. Like, oh, I'm going to take you on, like, wants a game of chess with you, or wants a little fight, have a fight with me. Like, have a wrestle with his app, with his AI. That's one of them they've got. There's a few, but mainly it's just malicious. The commercial sector is malicious now, and we know that through the diet and the food and the microbiome and the sperm count drop and the rest of it. It's the food's malware. The actual, all McDonald's and KFC and Subway, it effectively, in the human commercial sector, it's malware. It's malware. And that's what they're doing. And, they're bringing all these laws in for us, meant to supposedly keep you safe and, getting us to block and ban other people, but you can't do anything about these adverts. And you can't really claim, how can you claim that an advertiser is targeting you personally, right, if they don't say your name or something like that? It's very hard to prove a motive. Why would, some advertiser, in Australia or Birmingham or Scotland target you if, you've got no evidence of meeting them? You might have put a comment on their video. Why would they target you? Well, the thing is, you might be on a certain side, like Team Kennedy. There's a motive. If you're on a team, Kennedy, political affiliations, Nigel Farage has been debanked, right? So there actually is a motive now. We've got motives. And Robert F. Kennedy, Biden's been cheating against him by setting the elections so he can't win. He said, he's admitted techs against us. Why? Because we want to remove these people's excess trillions and this taking of our rights. So we're actually, as soon as you say, right, I'm on this side and you frequent these groups, you are polarised to a particular side. So you are immediately therefore in opposition of the other side, So there is reason. And when they've got all their businesses, Rishi Sunak's investors and all the other rest of it, we have got motive now. That's one thing that we do have. Robert F. Kennedy can vouch for that. There definitely is a motive to politically try and cheat against us, right? And that's why they want to get on us phones to see what side we're on, and things like that. So there is motive. And what they're doing is I wanted to talk to John Campbell about this subject. It's what I wanted to speak to him about, but I guess I could just talk about it now. Spent a lot of years studying, psychedelics and psychology and the human condition and kind of, reflecting thoughts, just the human condition, basically, like a lot. This is the thing that Richard Dawkins doesn't really want to believe in, or probably, also Stephen Fry, people like that who are kind of like non-religious people, although mainly the gripe is with like these, main religions. But so there's a certain study. Most people understand this principle. I'm not trying to say people are stupid, but it's basically all of the modern science behind consumer science. Basically product, advertising, marketing, and all those subjects down to the level of product placement and all that. They're all presented in a very modern package, in a very modern terminology, in a very kind of like, moderner world lexicon. But underneath that, and what that subject really is, imagery, the whole human psyche has got a certain construct and build that forms from when you're a baby, which is basically when you start identifying your parents when they're peering into the pram. These moving entities, motion. It's almost like when you're looking at what constitutes a cartoon, lines form shapes and shapes form characters, and you've also got pixels, how your eyes are formed and your vision, and then we get familiar with these characters. It's why you always see, like, you try to, your mind sees faces in trees and so forth. It's almost like you're looking for a connection point with something other than yourself. These, you've heard of, like, familiars and so forth. every human being and every animal is another living entity, you know, but then you get some that you're familiar with. And the thing with your, it's like family, familiars. When we've all got a certain genetic code, you have similar behaviours. If you're all, you know, of Irish ancestry and so forth, everyone's not identical, everyone's not the same, you know, like, you know, Neil Oliver's talking about, but you have trends, these genetic trends and so forth. That's like your family tree and your family history. And every culture has got certain behaviours that are inherited, but also learned and so forth. So you've got these your family, your familiars, people, this is people and characters and getting on with each other. But then you've got this entities that you meet, whether they're animals or humans, and you watch their behaviour and you get used to it. But when you're familiar with a friend, you get to know them better and you know the good points and the bad points. That's what trust is. You can predict the behaviour. Oh no, you know, he's gone and, you know, if you've got a friend who's always late or something, and then like your friend's late and you go, oh, you know, I could have bet on that, you know, you're familiar with his behaviour, right? So you could have gambled money on him being late, or people with addictions, or, you know, people who are friendly. This is how we form relationships. Now, with familiars, what the corporate entities in industry do is, mainly like these game show hosts on the lottery and so forth, they want to pass off as your friend, like they're your friend. And this is what Simon Cowell does, you know, we love you, we want to make you famous, everyone will adore you, we can give you this adoration from all these masses, you know, and charge people with excitement and energy. It is a drug, actually. You know, people can, you know, pet. I've said this in another video recently, like, you know, like the dog can pet you or lick your face and you can get charged from it, you can get happiness from it. If your pet hamster or rabbit gives unconditional love, it gives you a charge. It actually makes you, the amount of happiness actually you can get from it is quite strong. Very, very strong. It's almost heroin-like sometimes, although, you know, I can't vouch for that, but it's along the similar lines, you know, like people go running and jogging for endorphins. It gives them a slightly different type of buzz. People like going on roller coasters for adrenaline, right? You know, now, the thing with, I don't think that, I mean, I wouldn't try and, you know, end theatre or end the pantomime or end TV completely or end all these things, but people have healthy relationships, and you can get a hell of a lot of healthy relationships and have a lot of fun, and all people should, and with animals as well if you want. But when this gross excess of stadiums, you know, Elton John, and, you know, the amount, when it's going on a good day and he gets the charge from it, it must be like no other drug ever. Although some of them were drug addicts and that messed the chemicals up, so even these massive audiences cheering and jeering probably sometimes wouldn't make them happy. Like, you know, Jim Morrison might be manic depressive. That's when you get chemically messed up. But generally, a lot of these TV shows, you know, calendar presenters, the BBC, Joe Wiley, you know, Zoe Ball, the rest of it, they think it's good and it gets them a high and it gets them socially somewhere, and they think they're doing other people a favour to invite them on there. Look, come and have a piece of this, come have some of this. But all the attention is turned on some presenters. So all the advertising research and all these kind of familiars and all these caricatures, like, you know, the cornflakes caricatures, Tony Tiger and all the rest of it, they're designed, actually, those all start from cartoons, because first you have the cartoons moving and talking. Well, we start with still images, right? But, you know, and then you've got these caricatures who are friendly with the children, and the children like them, so they want to buy the products. I mean, I might as well just reference that Channel 4 video, you know? The Channel 4 video has done the whole programme on it. And they said they're even trying to push people to get extra things they shouldn't be having using these methods. So these familiars, and when they've got the familiars, you know, and you're trusting them, and this is partly to do with household names and celebrities as well. I mean, you regard them as your friend or you're familiar with them, but it's their acting, particularly when they're on stage or they're playing a part in a movie or acting. It's their job. They're not actually your friend, but they act friendly. But what you've got to do to accept, consent, submit to subscribe is you want to go celebrate them, worship them, participate, be in the audience, or face the front. Face the same way. Don't face each other. This is the thing. You're not facing each other. An audience of, 100, 200, 300, 400 people. They're not even really facing each other. And that's the thing. They're not facing each other. They're facing the stage. And I think the celebrities, they've got a very, very special strategy to controlling celebrities, which is why we've never had all these questions about how things are run before, why it's only coming out now through independent channels, because the celebrities have been controlled what they can say and do and what areas of speech they can go into or not. I mean, look what happened to David Icke with Terry Wogan, and most of them are pushing products as well, or getting you to cook and sell things, and they're getting you to engage in a lot of these activities that are unhealthy. We're not saying they don't, get people to go in the countryside, but the whole, building and development trade has been fueled by it and fashions. So the celebrities are a familiar. But the thing with the cartoon characters is they've got complete and total control. The cartoon character has not got a will of its own. The celebrity at least has some sort of will of its own, even if it likes being on calendar news, even if it likes being a calendar news presenter, even if even if the celebrity itself kind of is in their mind good, and just reporting on the news and having some children on, doing a fete or a local charity thing or whatever. It's all good. It's the fact of the, they're selling. They are setting and selling the lifestyle and the way of life. I mean, but when it comes into the products and the caricatures, it goes to another level, because then you aren't dealing with the opinions of the celebrity, even if they are on a side and they're affiliated with, the nice lifestyles and selling, products and coffee shops and, fashion and this and that, and, the good of the public, even if it's the good of the public or whatever it is, it's still wanting large numbers of people rather than face each other to sit and face just a few, even if it's entertaining or not. I mean, we're not talking about, out in the remote Texas Valley, strange people, in remote farms doing odd things, or, strange behaviour in this country or whatever. But a lot of these models and lifestyles have created the inequality anyway, which has resulted in crime. And then we've got, issues with where's the crime coming from and what are the statistics on the crime, So the familiars are important, but from the cartoons and from the caricatures and from the movies, the familiars come into it on a whole new level when you've got the mobile phone and AI. And this is the major advancement they've made, is now they can actually get it, rather than just watching a cartoon that's got a set play from start to finish and it's fixed, they can actually make the device respond as if it is an entity, as if it is a familiar. But at the end of the day, you aren't the creator. You didn't create it. If it was a child or a baby, it's not from you. It's not your child. There's nothing wrong with adopting kids, right? But it's not your creation. Someone else created it, and it's been programmed to work a certain way and respond. No matter how they say you can customize it, they're always updating from the factory end, like your mobile phone. They say you can customize this, that, the button sizes. Now everything's automatic. We're gaining access to your phone. Now, if they're automatically declaring that they can have access to your phone and every single photo it sees and takes and everything that you say, It's almost like they've got access to a child that you've got that you didn't give birth to, that's kind of trying to be a member of your family. It is like a little elf, like some sort of, like Terence McKenna said, the self-transforming machine elves, right? And I don't like it, particularly when they're getting this security and police state. You know, your car is like, beep, 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 beep. I'm going to emit this annoying sound, which is meant to deter you unless you comply and put the seatbelt on, you know, or even automatically stopping, whether you like it or not. You know, you're not in control of this car anymore, or you're not fit or able or capable to control it anymore. You know, in fact, we're taking control of it. Where the way this government is going at the moment, it definitely is bringing in all these, you know, police, robot dogs, ravage dogs. The scope, the way that how it's using these technologies, as they're coming out now, it hasn't been there to, you know, use them freely. It definitely is with a direction and strategy of they're trying to shape us individually. And when you have got the ads and the AI programmed to respond tailored to you, tailored to your responses and searches and attitudes and opinions, it almost, the device then to these kids is, it makes it personal. It's personalization. Now, once the ads are personalized and once the ads are responding to things that you've been looking at and you like or don't like, you then can say, even if the person who's publishing the advert, like Lifestyle Trader or whoever it might be, Virgin or whatever, even if there's no evidence of them in their advert naming you or they've never met you before, the fact that Google are actively intending a response with a meaning to you, right, then you can say you are being targeted. And if you don't like it, then it's something that's targeting you that you don't like, no matter what, whether the publisher or creator intended it or not. There is intention in it. Well, they are intending because the designer of the software, the developer of the software, is intending every user to have content targeted at them individually. So anything that happens to you has been intended and designed to. But they'll claim, oh, to help you. Well, I can tell you now, I have been annoyed and harassed by this tech for the last, 12 months or however long they brought it in. On a daily basis, it's actually making me swear. It's actually upsetting me, harassing me, annoying me, and it's actually making me into a worse person. So then when I do go on groups and talk and so forth, then you just end up, it actually makes your fuse, and then because you're just trying to get rid of it, when you interact with humans, right? When you interact with humans, you start treating humans like that, but they're really a human. But what they're doing on these social media platforms is they're reducing humans. They're reducing humans to these familiars and entities as well. Like when your messenger pops up the little circle and you're doing something and you're busy and you just toss it away, it's psychologically making you actually toss people to the side, right? Like, toss them away, get your finger around them. That's like the ring wraiths, right? You just throw them off to the side because I'm busy. Shoo, like that. And that is now what a lot of people are doing in these groups, like on Signal, like these Americans. If they just find, even if you're doing nothing wrong and you're getting on with the other people, if they find you annoying, it's like shoo. And that's how I'm being treated on some of these political groups when you've got First Amendment rights and you're meant to be talking about petitioning. Like there's this lass called Clara, she takes charge. Bossy women who walk along, there was actually no one in charge. And actually anyone in the group could edit it. And what she did is she's like, well, I'm in charge now. And she just assumed charge. It's like walking up to a group of people in a garden who are doing gardening and then you just say, pick up some tool and say, right, I'm making myself in charge now. You do this, you do that. I'm taking admin control. But they're doing it because they've got the buttons. And no one elected them. No one voted for them. No one voted them in. They weren't voted in by all the members or all the group, And this is how the First Amendment rights are being corroded. Because people assume this authority without being voted, and then they can just put people under their finger, under their thumb. This is the ringwraiths, and this is how they've got people. No one's actually been given, because we aren't having any court hearings and the police won't get involved hardly, and because, a lot of, they're giving you the option just to block other people if you don't want to see them. But if everyone if anyone in a group who doesn't want to talk to you can just block you, then why would you need to be removed from the group if you're not annoying anyone else, right? But it's all about getting people to break groups up and remove people from groups if they're not cutting with the group, even though other people in the group might not mind it. And also getting people into that mindset psychology so people start thinking, and this is what Zuckerberg's done, he's created a golf fanatic, a psychosis of obsession of subject, right? It's almost like the right of the subjects to petition the king. So what they've done is, we'll separate them into subjects then, and not so you can only discuss this or that. I mean, no one's saying that you should go on massive conversations about, things that aren't on topic. But, depending on who the admin are. But because some of these admins haven't got the responsibility or understanding or the belief themselves, what they're doing is they're mistreating other people. And then because other people get treated like that, there's no one to help them. YouTube and Facebook have done nothing about administrators overstepping rights. So we've actually effectively been led to feel like we haven't really got any rights on these platforms when we have, because no one's enforced them. And then we've all actually kind of sort of believed that, well, you can have rights on platform because we can't actually do anything about it, incapacitated, when legally you have got a right. And, YouTube and Facebook won't help you. We're led to believe it. And then the platforms have even been saying it. And this is why we've got YouTube and The Hill are basically they're believers. They're converted. The Hill are converts. They're fanatics. No, they don't have any First Amendment rights on YouTube. Rubbish. Of course we do. You're being brainwashed. And this is how they've slowly taken the rights away now. If you continue voting Labour and Tory, we're doomed, But then again, Mark Zuckerberg, none of these people have been elected, and they're actually ended up controlling the social psyche, and, and now they're the ones coming up with these new novel technologies and tech and so forth, that it's clear where they're going with it. The plan is very, very clear. And unfortunately, the moves that they've just dropped, well, they've had the tech for a long time. This whole fame thing, we know that the royal family like to be famous, and we know they like the limelight and the celebrities, but I can tell you this, all scientists who flock to the limelight and flock to fame, this Nobel Peace Prize and so forth, there are plenty trillion-dollar funding that the military and elite do, but they know the fame is a facade. They know that the real prize or the real value is in their new invention and what it can do. And if they keep it quiet and secretive and don't go on the buzzer, on the bell, on the phone to tell everyone, and don't go for the limelight because they want, Professor Tim Wilson to give them a, gold star and get a pat on the back from the academics and get in the journals and get a bit of fame. If these military people and so forth keep this tech to themselves and it's very useful and they know the fame is a load of rubbish, and then implement it, and then it's getting them intel, it's getting them Trojans, it's getting them spyware, and it's just silently running in the background, then, they've taken control and power and giving them a huge advantage. And then when they pull this, Wizard of Oz trick, reveal the, pull the curtain, reveal the tech Reveal, now what they're doing is they're just letting you have a peek at what they've been up to. Now they're showing, now we've been listening onto your phone as soon as you take a photograph and, record a video, but not even giving it to anyone. Now they're just giving you a teaser, a little wind up, a little web pee, a little, Zuckerberg. You can just see the smirk on the corner of his mouth. And that is these Google ads that are coming through. This is these, ads popping up and punning. And when you speak to Oppo or whatever, they're just like, oh, it's very helpful, this technology. It's great. Oh, yeah, we've had it for a little while now. It's brilliant. It's amazing. It's our prized technology. It's very helpful for finding this or that. Oh, actually, no. Firstly, I never knew it was on there. Secondly, I thought something was very strange when I never gave consent to it or would do, and really weird things are popping up. Like, I went outside to the shop, took a photograph of a leaf, came back in, and then went on YouTube, and then, my private phone, my private camera, and then there's leaves popping up. There are all kinds of issues around intellectual property with this, ideas, if you had an idea for this or that, and if you've done a painting and you thought that painting was in brand new style, like, Fabergé or, retro or whatever, and you've just done a brand new style that's never been done before, and you take a photo of it because, you want to have a photograph of it, yourself on your phone, and Google are straight in there, and then they're scanning it, and then before you know it, they're even showing you stuff, trying to find things that are similar or matching or whatever, and then, Google have got the rights to that data. Zuckerberg owns it. So, the next thing you could see, is, Harrods have got a jacket of it in the shop, within 7 days, straight through the production. This is it. And then, just a minute, I just thought of that. It was my idea. How did they do that? How can you prove it? This is what we're doing with ideas. They don't really want us. This is why they're saying you'll own nothing and be happy. You won't even own your ideas. They don't want scientists in labs who come up with a new chemical or a new device or something new that could, like, some micro widget that you press it and then every human suddenly, like, by your command, because then that's a military threat. They're at the stage now where they have to know absolutely everything that happens. They cannot bear to not know. Because, they've got Putin, they've got these wars. If some, eccentric, scientist comes up with, a new peacemaker in his lab, and he's not too bothered about, getting the Nobel Peace Prize and everyone clapping in an audience and, gets, in the academics and everybody's, the centre of attention. If he just, invents something quietly, like Doc Brown in his cellar, like the DeLorean or something, that cannot happen. The possibility of it happening is a security threat to Charles and to the World Economic Forum, Putin, Scott Ritter. It can't be allowed. And at that stage, you are under a regime. You are under a regime when Elon Musk is a businessman, but, we pay, you do, if you want to join the army, you sign up, you train, you work up the ranks. You don't just, it's Maverick, Elon Musk, Maverick, like a movie. Tom Cruise, yeah, I'm winning the war. Lasers, choo, choo, choo. Musk it's Bond villain, straight out of Bond villain. Musk is not our army. Musk is not America's army. He's not, where's his army training? Is he Secret Service? What is he? Now he's fighting wars. So if X is now military because Musk's helping fight wars, does that mean that his new X app's military? I like Twitter. Twitter, actually, I didn't go on it that much, but I could see that it was great for people to talk, pass ideas politically. You got Supertansky getting young people into politics. Elon Musk came in, he said it was all for free speech. He's totally killed Twitter and the image of it. He locked it out so you've got to subscribe to all this stuff to even message people. Now he's thinking about making it pay only. He's absolutely and completely and totally done everything opposite to what he said. And Jack Dorsey looks like a decent guy. He looks like someone you trust. I didn't know Dorsey was like plotting with all this X stuff. Anyone who wants to control the world's finance systems and have an app that everyone uses, you know there's something wrong with them. They want to control the world, you know. And I think it's wrong. You know, this is the problem with Bill Gates. You know, he wants to help the world by taking ownership of everything. Oh, I'm helping you out. If I own your land and if I take possession of it and I can make all the decisions ultimately on it, then I'm helping you. You know, Minesweeper, it's mine. A guy who thinks that the way to save the world and help it is by him owning it, basically, by him taking possession of everything. That's Bill's solution. Now, he might have loads of projects or whatever, but at the end of the day, the fundamental basis of Bill's philanthropy is that no matter what chemicals he's got, no matter what machines he's got, no matter what he's planning on doing, behind all that, the structure of it, the basis of it is, if I own it, that's a good thing for you. If I own everything you've got, it's got to be good for you. Well, it's going to be good for me. That's his basis. If I own everything, all your lives are going to be better. And I'm not elected, by the way. That is Bill's final, bottom line, foundational structure. Right? So, you know, and Marx is this is the golf room, this is the basketball room, and this is the, Pokemon room. We don't talk about, only talk about basketball in the basketball room. And then no wonder people aren't believing they've got any rights on these platforms. We've been brainwashed, and the Biden mainstream baseball playing X Factor who likes its cheering crowds and fans and money and material possessions doesn't want to give that up now, because it claims that it wants to help everyone out, because if everyone comes and sits in an audience and doesn't face each other but faces the celebrity, that's a good thing for everyone. It's a help to everyone if they all come and watch my show and look at me, not at each other, and laugh, because that is better for everyone. Now, I'm not saying that I don't like comedians at all, and I'm not saying that I don't believe in it, but, there's something about natural, organic, people doing it because they love actually what they do, and because they like, what they actually enjoy what they're doing, not just to make money out of it, or not just for excess in anything. And that's the thing with GB News at the moment, and Talk TV. There's all these independent stations out there and all these independent channels with lots of new radical ideas and opinions and so forth. And the thing is, they wanted to try and tackle mainstream. By having all these new channels and opinions, you're tackling the mainstream anyway. But the thing with GB News and Talk TV is that they want to try and comp them, challenge them, be a contender. Like, Labour versus Tory. They want to be the contenders. They want to try and take the spotlight away from ITV, BBC, and them to become the centre. But then they just become like them. No matter if you've got, Neil Oliver on there and Rees-Mogg unlawfully, and whether it's Tice or Bridgen or whatever, mixture of people you've got on there, it's the idea of it is it wants to capture more people, it wants to capture more of an audience, rather than just be, enjoy, we're here because we want to tell you this or tell you that, or the truth. Even going for the big studio or, the big set, you're already trying to compete with, this other entity. Why not compete with it by showing them you don't need the studio, or you know, you don't have to have all this excess overheads and so forth, like on pure quality of content and guests, which is what all these smaller shows are doing. But they're still getting hoovered up. They're still getting hoovered up, and they're still getting sucked into this GB News. You know, they just get sucked into it. You get like Novara Media, brilliant, amazing, but then, you know, it can't resist, you know, the magnetism, you know, like, it's like sucks them up into it, you know, and then the next thing, you know, they're on there, you know, rather than, you know, why aren't they sucking those people out of those shows onto the smaller channels? Well, on some of them they are, because people are going on each other's shows and so forth. But it's, you know, I think the whole model of, I know they've got the Colosseum, but the thing with the Colosseum is, in Rome, that it was mainly for fighting, you know, it was for people watching, you know, animals getting killed or people hurting each other. There's nothing in that now. I mean, you know, or even whether it's theatrics or wrestling or whatever, but people still go watch that in the movies. Yet you've got Neil Mohan saying there's no violence or harmful acts allowed, but then the next thing you've got Slipknot and, you know, Saw is renting the movie out, which is total contradiction. Oh, no, film stars and, Universal Studios and, you know, Warner Brothers can do harmful or violent acts because they're making big money and they've got lawyers and it's all pretend, but you can't. Well, what about the kissing? Is that pretend? You know, no, you said no sexual activities or anything, you know, it's just a bit of dancing, you know, and some kissing. Is it pretend or real? Well, you know, we don't allow sexual acts at all. Well, I'm not really doing sex, it's pretend kissing. Well, you know, well, this is it. Well, we'll say it on 18 and it's in a film, but, you know, if you do it and it's real, then you can't. But, you know, the film's meant to look real. The whole point that why it's got a certificate is so small kids can't watch it, not so that, you know, it's meant to look as real as possible. This is where Google's logic, it unravels. It's like Mark Zuckerberg's threads. This is where he loses the thread. This is where the thread comes out of the needle, you know. And this is why they can't win the argument with the political rights, because the political rights is applicable to that field of subject, not to where you're talking about it or who you're talking about to. It's actually because you're on to that subject and you're doing it in pursuit of a certain thing. They'd have to, if there's as much right as good.